Hi everyone, I'm Sunshine,
And I'm Shogo.
and welcome to OMG Japan.
In this podcast, Rakugo master Katsura Sunshine and Let Shogo delve into the theme of enjoying Japan more, revealing the secrets of Japanese culture and the behind the scenes of our activities, all while aiming to connect more closely with you.
Because when you get into the Rakugo world, you're certainly not leaving the table until Shisho does.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you, Sunshine, are there any those manners, rules related kind of thing that you were shocked when you first started living in Japan or started your apprenticeship?
During the apprenticeship, now, I wouldn't say shocked, but one thing is, and it's like once every couple of months, we happen to go to a restaurant. We go to a restaurant after every one of the master's shows. And it's the 2 or 3 apprentices that are helping, and maybe one more apprentice who is performing that day, who's more senior. And then it's the managers and maybe the people who produce the show, or maybe some of Shisho's friends, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I always go to a restaurant. Uchiage, say, restaurant.
Yep.
Uchiage, very
uchiage.
important word, everyone. Uchiage. The after party, it's the reason for living for Rakugo storytellers, right?
Absolutely.
But for the most part, it was just in normal restaurants with like just tables and chairs and that kind of thing. But sometimes you go to a Japanese place where it was like tatami, and it was the real, like, everybody's like basically seiza, or you're on a cushion. And so here's the thing: if the master, your master himself knows that if you're gonna be there for 2 hours, it's pretty painful to be in seiza for that entire 2 hours. So he would always look at us, because the apprentices, anyone else will just sit how they want. They won't stay in seiza the whole time. But for the apprentices under apprenticeship still, we have to wait until the master says ashikuzushi, which means sit the way you want. Don't get out of seiza. It's going to be too painful. And my master's very attentive to that. He's like, you don't want to torture. Like, we're the ones moving around the most, doing the most work, right, for the show and stuff like that. So when we're at the Uchiagen, he has 2 policies. Number 1, he's going to order us a lot of food to make sure we're well fed. And number 2, if it is like a tatami, he'll always say, like, ashikuzushi, just sit the way you want. Usually within like the first 5 minutes, as soon as he notices we're in seiza, right? Here's the problem.
Okay, here it comes.
Sometimes master's at the head of the table. There's lots of people in between, and we're way on the other side. And this just doesn't dawn on him. He doesn't see us because we're not close. He's there talking to everyone. So we end up doing seiza for like 2 hours, and it's not like the Rakugo seiza. I mean, I do it for 90 minutes at my show. But you're moving around with Rakugo. I'm letting the blood flow through my legs, no problem. I can go on forever with that. But this is when you're at a table eating a meal. You can't start moving around. People think you're like sick or something, right? So you have to just stay really still. It is torture. It is seriously punishment.
Absolutely. That is, absolutely something that would not happen, I think, outside of Japan. So,
yeah, well, they have more reasonable sitting positions.
No, seriously, though, seiza has been scientifically proven that it's really unhealthy for your body.
I'm sure it is. It can't be healthy.
It's absolutely not. I have a friend who is I don't know how to say it in English, but he's a professional seitaishi. There's this national qualification where you can get as a seitaishi. I'll have the what it means here on the bottom.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of studying about body mechanisms and everything. He's actually a kendo instructor. He's been training kendo for like 27 years or something. He's been doing kendo for a long time. He's a sports instructor teaching young kids and things. And he also is a scientist studying about body mechanism and everything. And because he does kendo, he sits in seiza for a long time too, right? When it's, for example, when someone else, your friends are doing their matches, you have to wait in seiza until your turn, right? So he has done seiza for a very long time. So he was really curious about how seiza affects children's growth. Yeah. And then how it pressures your knees and your ankles and such. Yeah, as a result, it's really, really bad for your body.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
But you and I do it all the time, though.
I didn't have to get a degree in research that. I could have told you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not just a temporarily thing that it hurts. Yeah, for a long period of time too. It's really not so good for your body.
Long-term bad health. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very.
So you
No,
really
that's
have
interesting.
to-
I mean, I actually, I know, I don't like to say at all if when I'm eating.
Oh no! You shouldn't do it when you're eating.
Yeah, I don't. I can't enjoy the food because I'm concentrating on like how am I going to get up and how my legs are going to sleep. And it's funny because when I'm on stage, like I like it. It's really, I find it actually most comfortable way to sit when I'm on stage. Which is interesting because it's the same seating position, but it's just that there's subtle differences in the way you can manipulate yourself, and that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. How was it for you, the kamiza shimoza stuff that exists in Japan? I mean, I've actually made a video talking about the kamiza shimoza topic, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I have to think about where you sit." I mean, that's just way too much trouble, you know. Was that complicated for you at first, or did your seniors teach you immediately so you got it in your head right away?
Well, no, I mean, to some extent, in the West, you have, in terms of like men and women, you do have polite places. If you go to a restaurant on a date or with your wife, you should seat the lady against the wall so that she has a view of the whole restaurant, and you sit facing her. So that the thinking is that the lady deserves the best view. So you're seeing her and the wall and nothing else, and the lady sees the whole restaurant, whatever. She has more fun. She has a better view. Now that becomes opposite. If there's a window and there's a nice view outside, then it's the opposite. The lady, you should sit by the window, so you're seeing the restaurant, and the lady is getting the nice view of the outside or something like that. So there's certain. I think there's certain rules that I don't know. I mean, that could be just a lot of different cultures going on in the States and Canada. But I mean, there's certain rules of etiquette in that way. With kamiza and shimoza.
Yeah, upper and lower seats, we call them, in English too.
Kamiza is upper seat and shimoza is lower seat.
Yep.
And so the kamiza is for the most important person or most senior person. I don't know, what is it? I mean, when you go into like a dressing room, the furthest at the back, one of the corners is going to be the kamiza. So you should tell me, like, there's more like, some of these rules are built on like protection and stuff like that. Like the least vulnerable to an attacker in the room is going to be the furthest from the door, and that's why the most senior person is protected in that way, right?
That is correct, yeah. So the kamiza shimoza system, this whole idea itself, was born during the Sengoku period.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of unexpected attacks, during the daytime or at night and such. Yeah, for example, if you're having an enkai, party, drinking party at night, you might be suddenly attacked. So you always have your lords or superiors in the corner of the room, away from the doors as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it was a Japanese style room, that would be in front of the tokonoma usually.
Yeah.
Yes. It would be the most corner of the room, so you'd keep them there. Today, the reason why we still carry it on is because if you're sitting closer to the doors or the entrance of that room, you'll be the one, for example, if you're at a restaurant, the food gets carried into your room, then you'll be the one taking it and handing out to everyone.
Yep.
So, exactly. So originally that was to protect the lords, but today it's for the lower people. It's hard to say, but it's the lower people for them to work easier for these superiors.
Easier to work, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Close to doors. Yep. That's right.
Now, when you say kamishimo, it's interesting because you have the kamiza shimoza, which is the upper seat and lower seat, and then, but you also have in a theater, you have kamite and shimote.
Yep.
And that's referring to stage left and stage right. But instead of saying left and right, they write it like up and down. Kamite means upper hand, literally. Upper hand, lower hand. It was the upper hand side of the stage and the lower hand side of the stage. Now, I'm not sure why that was chosen.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, and I knew about this in stage language, but I'd never seen the kanji before. But I knew being involved in some stage stuff in Japan before I became a Rakugo storyteller. I knew like kamite, shimote, so I was familiar with that, with the sound of that language, right? Then I go to this big theater with my master one time.
Oh yeah.
It was early in my apprenticeship, and we get out of the dressing room, and there's the sign kamite, shimote, and it has arrows pointing this way. So there's a wall, and like literally, we're probably right behind the stage. So you got to go this way or this way to get to stage left or stage right. Problem is, this kanji also can be read jozu and heta, which means very good ability or not very good ability, right? Right? Able or terrible, right? That kind of thing, right? And so that's the only way I read it. I was like, wow, this is a weird theater. They're like, the good actors go that way and the bad actors go this way. What a strange system. I was like, I had to ask, like, is this some kind of like inside joke in the theater world or something? And my apprentice senior said, no, that's kamite shimote. That's how we say stage left and stage right. I was like, oh my God, I never knew how you wrote it. It's so funny. That's the weird thing. So same kanji can be read in different ways and mean different things in Japanese, for those of you who are still learning Japanese. So the exact same kanji, I'm sure it's all being written here below me, the exact same kanji can be written kamite shimote, which means stage left, stage right, or jozu heta, which means very good ability or not very good ability.
So interesting. And the left side, from the stage view, so the left side is the kamite, and the right side of the stage is the shimote, right?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that, because I always get them confused. We better get the stuff under here.
Yeah. My wife has to do all the editing again.
How do you sound?
But
so if
it's the left side, what's really interesting is that in Japanese culture, left is considered higher, and right is considered lower.
Interesting.
So, like for me, when I'm actually wearing a hakama right now, but when for samurais too in the past, when they would put their legs into their hakama, they would put their left leg first in. When they wear the hakama, actually, so because left is higher. So I think the left side of the stage, when you see it from the stage side, it should be the kamite. That should be the shimote. I think, You guys will know the answers. We don't know the answers.
Seriously,
you guys know
misinforming the public right now. Maybe.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. That I didn't know that at all. And it's interesting because it's different in Western culture, English-speaking culture. And English, a lot of English comes from Latin, and like I think because people are right-handed, a lot of people are right-handed. Like the majority of people are right-handed. The right is synonymous with good or able or ability or that kind of thing, and the left is considered the opposite. And one, I can give you a pair of words. Right, the Latin for right is dexter. And if you say someone is dexterous, it means they have really good ability with their hands and their body. Dexterous, a dexterous person, and that comes from right hand side, dexterous. And if you and the Latin for left is sinister, and there you have the English word sinister, which means kind of evil and having like hidden ill intentions. And so it's the left side has a kind of pejorative meaning, a bad meaning. And it's thought that you're sinister because you could shake hands with the right and still bring out a knife with your left. So the left became associated with a kind of a bad meaning or an evil meaning or hidden ill intentions or that kind of thing.
Wow. Okay. I heard a little bit about the reason why I heard a little bit about from some of the guests who came to my samurai training activity in Kyoto. It's a 2-hour activity where you get to learn how to hold a sword and everything. Most of our guests are travelers from overseas. But in our activity, there's a part where I talk a little bit about the history. Because a lot of people tell me when we start putting their training katanas into their obi and through their hakama, they would sometimes say, "Hi, I'm left-handed. Is it okay if I have my katana on my right waist?" And we always tell them no, and we'll explain to you why later. And there's this part where I explain about the history. So basically for the samurai, sorry to interrupt your story, but first of all, about the samurais, the samurais would always have the katana on their left waist. This was by law, by the shogunate. during the Edo period. Before that, it was you could have your katana on your back or wherever you wanted to. But after the Edo shogunate, the Tokugawa family started to rule Japan since 1603. When the Edo period started, there were rules where samurais had to have their katana on their left waist so they don't bump their scabbards against each other, And when they sat next to each other, you don't want to bump your scabbards, So you would always have it on your left waist. Then you would have to draw it with your right hand. Yeah. So katanas have to be on your left hand. All of the, ancient style, the Ryuha styles of Iai or Kenjutsu that have history, you would always have your katana on your left waist, basically. Yeah. But the thing is that when I talked about this, there were guests from France who told me that a lot of people who were left-handed had to go through a lot of sufferings because of that era back at that time. Because they were treated differently from people who are right-handed. Yeah. In Japan too, even if you were born left-handed, you would be forced to be right-handed, basically.
I think even my mother, I think, talked about that. Like even her generation.
Oh, really?
Or maybe she could remember like her grandparents or something like that. But not in the not too distant past. Like they wouldn't let left-handed people write with their left hand. You'd force them to.
Exactly.
100%.
Right. Yeah, so sometimes people who come to my activity, sometimes some people get really upset that they can't have their katana on their right waist. And there's always this debate going on the internet too, in the world of Iai Genjutsu, like we should be able to have our katana on the right waist. This is the modern style. And a lot of people get really upset about it. But I think it's really similar around the world, right? How these rules were set. I mean, if you were forced to be left hand and right hand and stuff,
You come from another country, you come here to learn this country's tradition, and then you get upset. I just, oh man, I'm gonna punch those people in the nose. Go home! Go home! Sorry. You got one of my, what do you call it? one of my, I can't remember the expression. Bees in my bonnet. I don't know. I hate that attitude.
Things I won't be able to say as a Japanese person. There's so many things I want to talk about, but I saw actually this one short video that went viral. He was actually I forgot where he was originally, maybe from the UK, but he was saying something really similar to what you were saying. Right. There's people complaining that there's not enough English, on the menu or this or that. You're in Japan.
Oh, that's a great one.
As a Japanese
I like Japan,
person,
but people don't speak English enough. Like, moron.
As a Japanese person, I can't say that. I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Wish we had more English on our menus and everything. As a Japanese person, that's my sincere feelings, but So, anyways, for samurais, it was always in the left waist. Now, what's interesting, though, we still have a little bit of time left, right? One really interesting story.
I didn't mean to get upset.
Yeah, what's really interesting, though, about the story of the samurais having to have their katana on their left waist and be right-handed. Now, I think a lot of, especially the people who would watch my channel, too, like samurais and stuff, the famous Miyamoto Musashi, the person who wrote the Book of Five Rings. Now, he's believed to be left-handed. He's one of the most famous samurai in Japanese history. He's believed to be, there's a lot of legends, many myths about him too, fiction stories about him too, but he's believed to be the strongest samurai in Japanese history, right? He fought over, 50, 60 duels, and he survived all of them. He fought in 2 wars. He actually even participated in the Sekigahara. The Battle of Sekigahara. And he survived that too. So he's considered to be one of the strongest. Now, he was also a painter. You might know about this, Sunshine.
He's a painter?
Painter. He was actually an ink painter. So there's a lot of his... There's still a lot of his pictures left as national treasures. Kokuho. And what's crazy is that his pictures were actually written with his left hand. Seeing where the ink is kind of on the sides, he must have been written with his left hand. So he might have been left-handed. Yes, because if you were born and taught to be right-handed, why would you suddenly write with your left hand, right? So this actually proves that in the world, at least in the world of katanas, being left-handed or right-handed is just a different starting point. And eventually, you have to be able to use both of your hands evenly and perfectly. Yeah, exactly. It's just starting from a different point. And at the end, yes, when you master these techniques, you have to be able to use both hands freely. And I personally feel Miyamoto Musashi proved that. If it's true, if this is true, then Miyamoto Musashi really proved this story.
I bet you it is true. That's pretty strong evidence.
Also, this is absolutely correct, by the way. This is true because it's a lot closer to modern history. But Shinsengumi, the Mibu Wolves, a lot of people call them through one of those famous movies, but
Okay,
Shinsengumi's probably one of the most strongest swordsmen is Shinsengumi, the Mibu Wolves, who are the special police force that fought during the turbulent Meiji Restoration era, the Meiji Ishin era. They were in Kyoto trying to maintain peace, and they got betrayed by the new government in the end. There's a tragic story, but Saito Hajime is considered to be one of the strongest swordsmen. I have tons of videos about Shinsengumi, so if you're interested, you can take a look at this too. But Saito Hajime was left-handed too.
Right.
Yeah, and there's 3 swordsmen that's considered to be the strongest. Yeah, he's one of them. Yeah, but he was left-handed.
There you go.
He's absolutely left-handed. He wrote all of his letters and everything is left-handed. But he, of course, had his katana in his right hand. He would left waist and draw with his right hand, but still, he was just one of the strongest. So these 2 men, I personally would say, prove that they're being left-handed, right-handed doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one challenge. Yeah, as you say, it's one starting point. Yeah. It's also just a challenge to overcome. But when you think about the hours and hours and hundreds and thousands of hours that you put into practicing and training, like in a skill like this, just because it's your weaker hand, I mean, I'm 100% sure anyone can overcome that.
Absolutely. So it's the same in all of Kyudo, which is the art of archery in Japan. Also tea ceremony, sado. Yes, all of these things are done with your right hand under an assumption that everyone's right-handed.
Yeah.
Because if you do it the opposite way in tea ceremony, you would have to serve your tea to this side where your guests won't be. So you have to serve it on this side because everyone's sitting in a certain way, right? So So it might be a little bit difficult in the beginning, maybe, for people who are left-handed. Yeah. But yes, I always explain that it's just a different starting point because really, there's some people who get really, really upset about this topic. You know, sometimes
they should go home.
I really wish I was left-handed, so I can say that I overcame that in explains. But I'm right-handed, so yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, same here. So it's easy for me to say, but still, go home.
But I want to say, I
want to use worse words, but this is a family program.
Okay. But it's the same in Rakugo too, right? When you hold the fans to, like, for example, make the knocking sounds, or when you express things with your tenugui, the handkerchief and stuff, it's the same, right? You have to do it with certain hands, right? Wouldn't it be? Because you have to be looking in certain directions, which expresses different upper and lower relationships, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the knocking on the door, because that's an interesting question, because if I have no kendai, or the table in front of me, then I'm using my right hand with the fan to make the noise, and I'm knocking with my left hand.
Yes, that's right.
I think, kind of, right? But when you have the kendai, you're not using your fan to make the noise. You have blocks called kobyoshi, and those are on the left side. So when I'm knocking on the door, it's the same direction. I'm always knocking on the door going this way, but I'll be knocking with my right hand. I'll be like, konnichiwa.
That's different then.
So that actually depends on which instrument you're using. So I don't think the hand makes too much difference. Although it may in other areas. I just never really picked up on it. I mean, when after I bow, the opening of the fan part of my fan is on the left side, and the bass part is on the right side for sure. And then I'm always putting it to the right of me. I've never seen someone do the opposite of that, so I would assume you probably wouldn't, but then again, I have no idea. It's an interesting question because I was never specifically told that, but I don't remember any of my compatriots being particularly left-handed in any way. So they might be, and I just don't know it. So I think you might be right, but there's also like little practical reasons that take over from a lot of this stuff is practical anyway. Like all that stuff that you explained, like everyone has to be on the same side, or you'll be hitting swords and stuff like that. Yeah. Or you can't pour to the side that no one's sitting. Like so much of this starts with practical reasons. So the people that complain should go home.
Yeah, in Japan, it's most cases, I would think, 99% of the time, it's not like religious or these beliefs is the reason why you have to use certain hands or anything. It's as you said, it's practical reasons. To do it efficiently and to do it in peace, in harmony, these rules were created for the better for everyone. Yeah. Yeah, and during that time in the past, so... Exactly. Yeah, it has no ill intentions or to look down at someone, or no, it's not that. Yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, So, I mean, like, let's say Yamato Musashi, too, if he wrote his paintings with left hand, probably no one criticized him for that. I mean, if it was a good painting, that's a good painting. That's the reason why it still exists and it's been carried down today, right? It still exists and everyone took good care of it, so...
Yeah. Now, had he been doing calligraphy, it might have been a different story. It might be that a lot of the calligraphy would be a bit
calligraphy
difficult.
you would have to do with your right hand.
You'd have to do with your right. But with the painting,
so, yes.
with the painting, it's a little less decided which way you're stroking everything because everyone's painting is painting on their own, in their own way. So, yeah, fascinating. Yeah, really interesting.
Interesting. All right. So, thank you so much for today, too. It's
thank you.
10:30. So, again, I'm actually in Ibaraki at a hotel. I have to check out in about 30 minutes and I have to clean up my mess that I've made in just one night.
Yeah, it looks so messy. It'll take you all of 2 minutes to clean up.
No, everything's on the floor, actually. I just took everything down on the floor so it doesn't show up on the camera.
Yeah. I do the same thing. Fantastic. So anyway, have a good holiday.
One thing, though, before we go, we actually hope to plan to go to Ninja Dojo, right? That's something I wanted to tell everyone before we go. Ninja Dojo and store in Kyoto.
Yeah, we just confirmed the date. We're going to be up there. I'm going to be up there, and I'll swing by.
Yeah. And we'll be doing a special podcast probably. I don't know how we're going to be doing the microphones and such. We might be able to use some of the smaller ones like the pin mic stuff that I have, and we could use that maybe just for that episode. But so we can all have the same audio quality. But yeah, we're going to be probably having each call sign at some point, maybe in January or the beginning of February, in one of our podcasts. Awesome. I really hope you can look forward to that. He's the owner of the Ninja Dojo and store. He's actually one of the instructors in the Nindo, explained in the first episode, I think, second episode. Yeah, so we'll be having him, and you'll be able to ask him a lot of questions about ninjas. He'll be able to answer everything. So
that's awesome. I hope we don't have to actually do stuff because I'm old and fat.
One thing, there's one thing we could do though. I was asking him at the Ninja Dojo in the store. There's actually this very short experience where you get to throw the shuriken. The throwing stars? Yeah. That's like you throw like 5 or 6 stars and that's it. It's like 1,000 yen or something around there. So we just do that maybe, yeah.
Okay,
we're recording your voices while we do it. And if you want to see Sunshine doing it, you can actually jump to our YouTube channel kind of thing, yeah.
As long as we leave it at that, because I'm not stealthy like a ninja needs to be.
It'll be really, really fun to do. All right,
so really fun. It'll be our first episode live together on site, right?
Yes, absolutely. And with the collaboration, so it could be a good start, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
Awesome. Then this probably will be our last recording in 2024, right?
Right.
Thank you so much for starting this podcast together with me this year.
Thank you too.
I'm really excited for 2025.
See you next year.
All right. Happy New Year's then to everyone
Happy
too.
New Year.
Yes, thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. The two of us are involved in various Japan-related projects on a global scale, so please take a look at the description for more information. We're looking forward to your comments too. Then we'll talk to you again in the next one. ありがとうございました。